Hello guys, welcome to day 38. They wouldn't let me sleep, and because I might be out Thursday night and won't be able to do a whole lot of recording, I thought I'd just do one more. Hope you don't mind. If you do, well, remember them aliens I was talking about? Now, the question is, can I continue the topic? Is there anything worth saying to continue? Let's figure out what I've got here. Whoops. Obviously, this doesn't matter. 10, 10, 3. Nah. I suppose I'll just keep some dirt with me, huh? Boingo boingo! Put some of this away. Ooh, I don't have enough of that. I should grow some in town. Oh, those butts are still fighting with each other, aren't they? Well, I'm trying to think, what else? I ought to talk more about ufology because it's fun. I don't take it super seriously, but I can't dismiss it either, as I was saying yesterday. In part because the earliest reports coincide almost 100% with each other, despite the fact they could not have had the opportunity to talk to one another and plan it out beforehand. But long before the media picked up on it and made it a popularized sort of pop culture thing. Now that that's true today, nothing is reliable, especially because of Photoshop and, Premiere, which I'm using here. It's so easy to fake stuff that back then couldn't be. A wheel hub tire, whatever. Throw one of those in the air, that looks like a UFO. That's more or less obvious. The Meyer videos with this sort of flying saucer thing going around this pine tree. And it moved exactly like it was just suspended on a thin wire. I'm like, come on. There's some things that are... And this guy is considered more credible. So the topic really does reserve... I don't want to say ridicule, but it deserves attention, critical thought. It needs not to be taken at face value. That's what I'm saying. Investigate, please. There may actually be something to it, but don't believe everything you hear. Because unfortunately, now that it is a pop culture thing, it's people are going to make shit up. It's going to happen. Oh my God! Watch this! Watch this! I'm going to do something that all of yesterday in day 37 I could not do. This will be amazing. You'll blow your minds. Watch! It's absolutely crazy. I didn't actually have to go here, did I? See that? Oh my God! I can't believe I just did that. But I did. So let's get some more blue... Well, no, let's... Whoa! So, I haven't decided on an outer wall yet. I am also not decided where doors are going to be. So these parts are going to be edited. There's no way around that. I don't have enough of this to really bother with for very long. This outer wall is consuming a lot of material. But it's a fun topic anyways. I enjoy listening quite much to Mysterious Universe, who I will attempt to mention in the show notes, and maybe even buzz them again. Maybe they'll watch my video. That would be amazing. But how's this coming along? I should make a UFO. I'm trying to think. I mean, I talked about that first part to death a little bit yesterday. Hello, Rata. About the consistency of early reports and the interesting timing of when we first started broadcasting radio to how far away the supposedly Zeta Reticuli is, versus how long it would take them to then arrive here after having heard us, and stuff like that. It's an interesting bit of math that actually works out. Doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it also might. And I can't get seeds. Oh, wait. They're just doing it silently. Beanstalks. But... Oh, eats. I myself have seen something. Actually, two of the same thing. I was kind of hoping... I actually submitted this report to Mysterious Universe, but they never picked up on it, because they probably get tons and tons and tons of correspondence, most of which is valueless and hard to sift through. Plus, mine wasn't entirely exciting. It was just genuine. But on two separate occasions, and the nice thing about this is I have some... I should go over there sometime. Some points of reference that help with this. Let me mark this. And actually, for that matter, let me mark the correct way to go. That way. Don't burn down. So, I'm trying to remember. The first time I saw this was the middle of summer. I was living at my parents' house because I was in high school. Actually, both times I was in high school. And there was a storm off to the north. And it was, according to the radar, it was good 20 to 25 miles away. And it was particularly interesting because there was some opportunity to see cloud to cloud. Or not cloud, well, yeah. I mean, not cloud to ground, but lightning that was above the clouds. It was kind of nice. I don't get to see that very often. And I was, I remember my dad was down in the driveway, which the driveway kind of cuts into the hillside where our house is built on top of, or the old house. So I was on the second floor, but since I was directly above the never used garage that was under the house, basically in the basement, I was technically 3 floors up. Uh-oh, I don't like the looks of that. I want more bluestone, even though I hate bluestone. And so I was leaning out my window watching the storm, and a bright, super bright, green, very, very green, kind of like, like if you had a copper burning flare torch, that kind of green light. And it was bright enough to sort of glow. Like, it wasn't just a pinpoint. It had glare, like the sun has glare, but it was much smaller. I would say it was sun bright, but much smaller, therefore, less glare overall, and green. And I first noticed it maybe, 80 degrees up, so pretty high up, because I was looking at the whole sky, not the whole sky, but facing north, and this thing fell behind the storm. I mean, it started way the heck up, and it fell, from my perspective, what looked like straight down. However, considering it started almost directly above and proceeded to, go behind that storm on the horizon, it could have also come down at a slant, like a sharp slant, and had the same, from my perspective, visual effect of having seemed to go straight down. But regardless, at the closest this object could have been, and it fell, let's say, presumably immediately behind the storm. It could not have been any closer when it went down than 25 miles away. And so I did a little bit of trigonometry and figured out that this thing had to have been traveling, I can't remember now, it was like 25 or 3,500 miles per hour to cross the sky, because it took about 4 seconds, maybe it was 3 seconds, to get from where I first started up above to down behind the storm. So that sounds kind of like meteor-ish, right? Except there was no trail. It was just a speck, a very sun-bright green speck with glare, but no trail, no sound either. This thing was perfectly silent. There was no roar, like that thing that happened over Russia with all the sound that people recorded and stuff. None of that. Not even a little bit. And that was quite, this was in broad daylight, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, summer. So the sun's, in the northern hemisphere, the sun is quite high, even still at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because it doesn't go down like till 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night. So it was full, and it was that bright in the middle of the day. I believe I reported this to the local MUFON, and the Leland Bechtel, I think, was the director for Maine, And he actually he replied with a letter, and he sent me like this pamphlet full of other reports and stuff, and that was quite neat. And then apparently he gave a talk, and he gave a press conference about something, and he mentioned, some guy from Peru, which is the town name, not the country, had reported this thing. And then he reported that he had heard other reports, there were actually dozens and dozens and dozens of reports of this particular day, of this particular incident, so a lot of people saw it. And multiple other reports of the same kind of phenomena. Sorry if it's dark. Pretty much all over Maine, and pretty much for the entire summer. So that 95 in the summer in Maine was a flap of these things. And there were two things that were happening simultaneously in this flap. There were the bright green lights, and also dark wedge-shaped things that were apparently very loud, which is contradictory to what I've heard other, like, black triangles, usually dead silent, but these people were reporting deafening, like, thunderous sound with these and stuff. So some contradiction there. But later that year, in the winter, so, when it gets dark really early and stuff, I was in the kitchen, the living room, which is immediately under my bedroom. So the big picture windows were facing the same direction that my window was when I was leaning out of it to see this thing that I was not anticipating in any way, shape, or form. But it was probably 8 o'clock at night, and I was reading on the couch, and I looked up just in time to see the same exact thing. Bright green, and all the brighter for being way after dark. It was, I don't know how high up, because the angle of view was much more restricted in this case. And literally the drapes were pulled so that it fell down between the crack in the drapes. I was very lucky to have even seen it at all, which goes to say, well, how many times has this happened that I never saw at all? And considering how many other people were reporting, probably a lot. But it basically fell but it fell to the exact same point on the horizon that the first one I saw did. Exact same place on the horizon. So if this is a meteor and it just has it discards most of the characteristics of a meteor, and yet still is, like some copper ball fell from the sky with a bright green speck without a streak or tail or fire or anything or noise. All this happened, and then it happened again, and it went to the same place. And so that just strikes me as way too coincidental to be natural. Or maybe it's not natural. Maybe it's little satellites, and they have scheduled come downs. Why they would land in the same location twice, though, is beyond me. Why would they want to or need to? If they're just burning up the atmosphere, who cares where they go down? But I don't know. That's something I saw myself twice, about 6 months apart. And the first time I was really lucky to have some really important points of reference by way of the mountains, the storm that was on radar, so I could look at the map and say, oh, that's exactly where that storm is. And happened to catch it early on to notice that it was pretty high up in the sky before it caught my attention and then came straight down. Yeah. So, who knows? It is a UFO. Whatever else it might be, it is a UFO. That much cannot be argued. Whether it's man-made or not, certainly open to debate, but I don't know what we can do to... And you know what? If there were... Don't die, villager. We don't like that. If there were triangles associated with this phenomena, and they were loud, which is very uncharacteristic for any... Well, for... I don't want to say any, but for UFO reports in general. Oh, that's a tiger or something outside. If that's the case, then perhaps it is man-made. It's an attempt to emulate things that people have reported. Because I know, like, the triangles from Bulgaria or Belgium, back in the 80s or so, whatever, 90s, those were very quiet, like characteristically, obscenely quiet. And these supposedly were not. So maybe it is man-made. Maybe it's military experiments, and Maine, being a low-population part of the country, is an ideal location for playing with stuff that, if people see, will be discredited, easily because, oh, you're Hicks from backyard, whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it was interesting stuff. There are all kinds of reports from Maine in particular, and I learned from the stack of stuff that I got from Bechtel when he enthusiastically replied to my report. So yeah. I don't even remember what I did, but the conversation seemed to go well. So, thanks for watching. Please come again tomorrow. Please look at this tiger. And have a good night.